Alright YouTubers, what's happening? We got another knife video for you today. Looking at a new company, new knife. It's called the Damned EDC, that's the name of the company. And it's called the Wendigo. So basically this company, Damned Designs, started, guy making a whole bunch of spinners and stuff, then he started making some EDC items, and then he decided to make his first knife and sent them out to our pass-around group. I believe I'm one of the first to get one. I think another reviewer, Big Red EDC, has one out already as far as his overview video. So wanted to get a video up, came and give you my thoughts on this knife, and he basically sent this because he wanted, it's a prototype, he wanted some feedback. This particular example is the Tanto Blade, one of the Tanto Blades. I think there's two different Tanto Blade shapes. This one's kind of like a stubby Tanto. Then there's a drop point. I think I'll have to remember all the different shapes, but it's going to be available, or is teased to be available in multiple different shapes. I'm not sure if that's still the case. So there's not a lot of information out about this model because it's a prototype. So spec-wise, I know we have the prototype's going to be M390. This is S35 blade. Like I said, Tanto Blade shape. You got titanium handles, titanium pivot. All the hardware is titanium, including the clip and the backspacer, so the whole thing is pretty much titanium, which is nice. Some of the bearings, of course. And a little bit of background on the company. So the designer's name is Adrian D'Souza, or maybe Souza, maybe the D silent. He's from India, actually. And like I said, he's been making all these different EDC items, so he decided to make a knife. And it's actually really pretty impressive for a first design, I think. Not bad at all. I'm pleasantly surprised by it. So, let's see, I think I may have found some dimensions here. Oh, man. I had them. Instead of getting out my ruler and kind of butchering them. There is some on the... Sometimes I hate the Slack app. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Anyway, we'll just do it old-fashioned way. I got a ruler right here. Alright, so our overall length is just about a little over 7 inches, maybe 7¼ inches overall length. Your blade length is roughly just about 3 inches of cutting edge and about 3¼ inch blade. Maybe, yeah, about 3/4 inch blade, 3.3 inches of blade. So there's your overall length, and closed length is roughly 4¼ inches. So a good size, right? Kind of in the wheelhouse of EDC knives, right? The blade stock, for those that care, is 0.121, and the behind the edge thickness that I measured earlier was right about 19 thousandths. I'm getting a stronger. I'll get a good. Yeah, so about 19 thousandths behind the edge. So decently thin behind the edge, and decently thin blade stock. You have a ball bearing flipper, like I talked about. So that's kind of your basic specs. Let's do some size comparisons here. We got the Benchmade 940. Always a good one to use because it's a very, very common knife. Maybe not this. So it's about the same size as far as the handle, the blade, a lot less blade. And then a small Sabenza. So it's bigger than a small Sabenza, not by a ton. Just to give you kind of an idea of the size of the knife. Okay, so price point on these is going to be $200. At least that's what it's listed on their website, and I'll link that in the description. So if the production one comes out in M390, that's a really good deal. A really good deal. So how's the fit and finish on the knife? Well, I'm actually pretty dang impressed. I'm not sure who's making these for them. I don't believe they disclose that information. Who's making the knife for them? It doesn't say on the website. Couldn't find it in our chat. So let me see if it's in the general information. So I'm not exactly sure. I know it's going to be made overseas. It's made in China by someone. Okay, so Dam design, prototype. Yeah, it comes in a drop point, a sheep's foot, and 2 different tantos. That's right. So that's really all the information we have. We don't really know who it's made by yet. I don't think he's actually shared that information with us. But I will tell you that it's really good fit and finish. Like, it's really nice milling on the titanium. You've got a nice decorative pivot. You've got some, like I said, really good milling. You've got lightning pockets inside the knife to lighten it up. Speaking of lightening it up, let's see that weight on this guy. Zoom out so you guys can see that. 4 ounces, 4.1. 4.1 ounces. 4.1 ounces. So, not bad as far as weight goes. And like I said, some lightning pockets inside. It's definitely solid titanium handles though. You have some relief cutout, like on the lock bar relief cutout here. You have some nice milling in there. So lots of nice milling around the whole. I've got some residue on the blade. I actually used it at dinner tonight for something. But nice milling everywhere. I really dig the milling on the knife. It's really good looking. And for $200, it's really quite a bit of milling that's going into the knife, and that's actually makes the value even better. The handles are nice, smooth titanium. Feels really good in the hand. And a nice titanium pocket clip as well. And like I said, the pivot's a little bit fancier than normal. It does have the lock bar insert. So how are the ergonomics on this guy? So they're good, especially when you first just hold the knife in hand. And if you use this grip here, where you're using the thumb ramp here, and you're doing some light work with it, it's great. Super comfortable in the hand. Where I've found in my testing, which I'll put in the video, is when you're using it hard, like in a hammer grip, there is a hot spot right about here that you're going to feel doing a lot of hard work. So I would definitely say ergonomics are good as long as you're not using the knife too hard. I think that's the best way I can put it. If it's light duty EDC, which most of us are light duty EDC, but if you need to, do some stronger cuts and stuff, this wouldn't be a good knife because it gets pretty uncomfortable pretty fast. But if you're in this grip, it's super comfortable. Cutting cardboard was great. No problem there. It was when I got into the wood and the rope cutting that it didn't do so well. Didn't do so well, period, in the cutting. But it was also that I was using that hammer grip, and the ergonomics were not fantastic there. The aesthetics are really nice. I think it's a good-looking knife. I don't mind the Tanto. It's growing on me. The fatty Tanto, we're going to call it, is actually not that bad. At first I didn't like it, but it's kind of grown on me. I kind of like it now as far as the aesthetics of the knife. I like the blue pivot. It's decorative. I like the blue pocket clip. That's nice. The pocket clip's actually really good. I like the milling, so it's really aesthetically pleasing. And I like this little design cue there. This is actually the logo for the Dam Design EDC products. This little XO and then like a little line underneath, kind of like a frowny face, or like I don't know how, not a frowny face, like an indifferent face. I don't know what that would be called, but it's kind of a cool little design element they put into the handle of the knife. So I like that. It's also pretty slim overall. I think this would have been good for the stats, but it's less than a ½ inch. That can't be right. Yeah, we're not zeroed. It's 4.47 inches, so it's under a ½ inch, so it's pretty slim carry. That actually could be why also the hot spot happened in this kind of grip with the use, is that it's got kind of slim handles. Sometimes when you're using those you want some kind of a thicker handle for those kind of cuts and having to put a lot of force on it. So that could be part of the weird reason why it didn't have the best ergonomics in that particular grip. The action on it is good. It's on bearings. It's nothing to write home about, but it's it's good. It's smooth. It's got a nice detent, so it's not like, oh my gosh, crazy guillotine smooth, but it's nice. The lock bar relief is nice too. It has some nice jimping here on the lock bar relief. Very easy to get the knife, to unlock the knife, I guess is what I was trying to say. And the flipper tab has jimping and it works well too. So lots of good things about this knife. Lots of good design he's got right. Sliceability, like I said, pretty thin blade stock and decently thin behind the edge. A little bit less than like a paramilitary 2. I think especially with a drop point blade, it would be better for a lot of the tests I was using it for. That's kind of the limitations of a Tanto Blade. So, but overall, pretty good cutter. It didn't do, like I said, didn't do well. It did great through cardboard and certain types of cordage. It did not do well in the wood or the rope. So I would say, like I said, light duty EDC is what I would call this knife. And most of us, like I said, that's going to be more than sufficient. So, how does it carry? It carries nicely. I like the clip. It works well. I've been carrying it for the last few days, and it'll fit in my wash pocket in my 511 jeans. And this guy, these jeans, so the clip is a little stiff, but I didn't find it hard. This is kind of awkward sometimes to put it, but it doesn't carry very deep, you can see. And I didn't find it hard to get on off the pocket. This can be, let me see, it slides right on, so no big deal. So the clip works well. It's a pretty slim knife overall, as far as width as well when it's closed, because most of the knife blade is in the, not a lot of it's exposed. It's going to be probably a little over an inch. Man, I was right on, 1.1 inches, almost 1.2. But pretty slim overall, lightweight package. So yeah, carries nicely. Value is really good. I mean, if they're going to release this at $200 with M390 titanium, M390 steel and the titanium handles, and the fit and finish is good on it, I could see this definitely being a really good value. Especially like in a crowded sea of titanium frame lock flippers, with not a lot of them with M390, you're going to be under that $200 mark, so that's pretty good. So overall, I like the knife. I was pretty, wanted to see how I could, what kind of feedback. I'm just going to clean this off. It's bugging me. Kind of feedback I could give on the design, and really think that he nailed a lot of things on this. I think the one thing I would change is, well, two things. Is a little thinner behind the edge would be fantastic, and just so it'll slice better. And that's weird. And the hot spot that's created in this group under hard use, I don't know how you would fix that unless you thicken the handles, which would make the knife overall beefier. So if the design use of this knife is light duty EDC, some cardboard processing, opening packages, just real light duty stuff, then it's spot on. If it was meant to do more, then the ergonomics could use a little work, especially in this grip and under harder cuts. Just something some feedback that I could give. Other than that, I don't know that I don't love the fatty Tanto Blade. That's another thing. I hope he does come out with the different blade types that they talked about in the prototype. One thing about these grooves too, I'm just noticing, is they get a lot of crap inside of them, but that's okay. It looks good, so you can clean them out, right? So overall, those are, not a lot to improve on. Most production knives are too thick behind the edge, so that's kind of a common thing that I would fix on knives. And the ergonomics and underuse in this kind of grip is probably mostly due to that thin handle, because they are pretty nicely. They could be more rounded. They're kind of squared. It's pretty smooth, but they're kind of squared, and that's where that hot spot hits you, right there, and right there. So other than that, I think you did a great job, and definitely at that price point with that steel, as long as it's heat treated well, is going to be a good deal, a really good bargain. So, all right, guys, let's wrap in. Let's pull in that usage footage, and then we'll wrap up the video. Stay tuned. getting a hot spot right there when doing that hammer cut and this cut into this wood. Yep, feeling it right there. Pretty, not painful, but definitely not comfortable. When putting a lot of pressure, you can definitely feel it right there. Right here in the hand, you can definitely feel that. But that's a lot of pressure. I mean, that's a pretty strong grip that I've got going on. So, not what you would typically do with a knife like this, but it's good to know. Try some rope. Cardboard, I didn't notice any hot spots. God, I gotta have a little shorter piece of rope somewhere, don't I? There we go. It's about 1/2 inch thick sisal rope. Yep, I'm feeling it in that same spot. So, one thing I would say on this knife is, if you were really hard, you know, gripping it like this in the hammer grip and trying to make a cut like that, it's gonna hurt. Now if you switch your grip, it just can't go through that rope. What is going on? Come on, this is brand spanking new. There's no way that edge is dull already. But it's a pretty straight, I mean, wow, that took a lot of force. This grip is good. So if you utilize the thumb ramp right here, but you don't get as much force to that cut like you would with a... Alright, so like I showed you under usage, it's a little bit of hot spots in this grip. That was really the only thing, and it didn't do too well cutting through the sisal rope at all. It took a lot of pressure to those pull cuts, and that could be, that's mostly due to edge geometry. It is pretty thin behind the edge, so I was kind of surprised by that. But I think, you know, a knife with a little bit more belly would probably do better in that situation. So, alright guys, thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.